Hello, everybody. We are here with an extra person this time. You guys remember Chris? He was here. I think you were here like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember what was happening.
Excited.
What was happening the last time? I'm trying to remember what was happening when you were here. Had they done like the USJ attack yet, or were they like leading up to that?
I think they had already done the attack.
They had just done it, or something.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, he was recovering in the hospital or something like that.
I'm gonna say yes.
You say yes. Okay.
Iffy,
wow, shows how much you're.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Well, we're glad to see you guys. So we're going to start the video as we usually do by answering your question, comments, and concerns regarding your reviews from the last few chapters. So we got a couple of really long ones in this time, so I'm excited about that.
All right. First of all, you're good. Rona. Okay. Gosh, Chris. Okay. Fairy Sing Girl. LOL, that was funny how Kudai was taunting Bakugo during their match just to piss him off. Keep him from thinking clearly and properly counterattack. Well, if Bakugo would learn to control his temper, he probably wouldn't have lost so easily to Kudai. And now it's Kudai against Todoroki for the final match. I wonder who will end up winning.
I'm guessing that one's from a couple weeks ago. Yep, well, I know the answer now is that Kudai technically won. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure at some point people will ask me, like, so who actually would want Kudai or Todoroki? And I'm just like, well, who do you think would win?
All right. Thank you, Fairy Sing Girl.
Thank you very much.
Light Hero Kaiser, you will always be Mason Lightus. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, man, it's like Grogu. No, Baby Yoda. Say it with me. Goo, Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Yes. Anyway, Light Hero Kaiser. Great chapter, mate. And yes, Kudai won. I knew it. Could Yaoyorozu have a crush on Kudai? Who knows? Hero names, here we come. Fist pumps. Yes. Blade Hero Light signing out.
Okay, so I guess that's one thing I forgot to mention. So a bit of a recap. Kudai's kind of been trying to talk to Yaoyorozu a couple times, and she's mostly been blowing him off, and now she's kind of being rude about it.
Which one's Yaoyorozu?
Urza. Oh wait, you don't know that.
She's the one that makes stuff come out of her body.
Oh, Momo. Yeah. Okay.
Momo Yaoyorozu. Yeah. They were training partners at the beginning, and they got on really well. And then a little bit after that, she kind of started ignoring him, and like every time he tries to talk to her, she kind of blows him off. And he's like, at this point, he's just kind of like, okay, so she's mad at me for something. What did I do?
Yeah. And I was gonna say Mason Lightus. Light Hero Kaiser thinks she has a crush on him. We'll find out.
I'm pretty sure he's not the only one that thinks that.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Thank you for your review.
Thank you for your review, sir.
And 206432.
I'm guessing that was just a random name generated.
Cool. Mineta isn't that bad of a character. Many will die without him.
What?
Thanks. I gotta clean that now. Gross.
I spat in the trash can. It's fine.
It's sprayed every... Never mind. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
It was worth it. How dare you, sir?
Mineta's just
the worst.
Look. I get why people can sympathize with them, but
I have to say, the thing that I think the best comic relief that character has ever provided
was in the movie, right?
In the first movie. When he's
it was only in his Japanese voice.
In Japanese, yeah. The Japanese was funny when we watched it in the theater. In English, it was like, okay, whatever, it's Mineta. But, yes, I have to say, the comic relief provided is okay sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. I think one of my favorite moments is when he was, like, trying to spy in the girls' locker room and Earphone Jack just, like, jabs him.
Yes, right in the eye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
And then he tries to do the same thing at the summer camp, and the little kid, what's-his-face, just, like, throws him back over the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe you should learn how to be a decent person before you become a hero. Thank you! Somebody says it!
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Apparently the author gets weekly petitions to replace Mineta with the brainwashing guy.
Yes. I'm fine with that.
Make it happen!
He should be,
Make it happen!
He's useless.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Many will die without him. I love that. Okay, thank you.
You almost made me do a real spit take there.
Alright, Joe Clone, hey dude. Quite a twist. I didn't expect Todoroki to blow off the fight like that, but it felt so him. And Kudai wins. Yay, that's new Super Saiyan like me. Form has to be a dead giveaway for his hero name.
Oh yeah, I challenged them to try and figure out what his hero name is.
So it has to be Kakarot or Kakaroto.
Kakaroto is...
Kakaroto. Sorry.
I think that's how they pronounce it in Japanese. Is probably what he's going for.
Kakaroto. Okay. Kakaroto.
Which character is this?
Main character.
Main character, yeah.
They're trying to guess what his hero name is going to be, which they will find out soon.
You'll find out here in a little bit.
Also, I'm getting a sneaky suspicion that Yaoyorozu got a crush on Kudai and is jealous of his choice to date Mina. I mean, if she hasn't told any other girls about this, it must be something on that level of teen drama secrecy.
Yep. Not a bad guess.
Not a bad guess. You wanted my prediction for Kudai's internship? Once you said you were sprinkling hints in my mind, immediately went and my mouth immediately vocalized, Gang Orca! It makes so much sense he'd want to intern with his favorite hero. Do we know any of the class that has also interned with a killer whale hero? I don't remember seeing anyone going to him. Also, would Todoroki train with some other hero besides Endeavor after this?
Those are some good questions. Gang Orca is a good choice. The question would come down to whether or not he would send Kudai an offer. But yeah, if he got the chance, Kudai would absolutely go with that. As for Todoroki training with Endeavor, well, you'll have to read the next couple chapters, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like in the original, he kind of dropped the fight on purpose too, even if he was a little more deliberate about it. In this version, he walked off instead of just letting himself get blasted out, but he still went to train with his dad anyway. And I based that on him kind of being at the agency and being like, you remember how he's just kind of like, all right, yeah, you're a scumbag, but you are recognized as the number 2 hero, so there's some things I can obviously learn from you. So we'll see if Todoroki decides to go with Daddy Dearest.
All right, and then do we know anyone else who's interned with the killer whale hero?
I don't think so.
I don't think anyone interned.
Do you know anybody do you know if any of the other students have? Because I can't remember.
Didn't when they had to rescue those, when they had to train to rescue those preschoolers in that one arena?
Oh, that wasn't an internship. That was way later.
Yeah, wasn't there one of those guys?
Yeah. Gang Orca was the guy that was overseeing it.
Okay.
Todoroki and Bakugo were training.
And then the guy who apologizes on a profuse
amount.
Yeah.
Always makes his head he punches himself in the face. I love that guy. He's funny.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Joe Clown.
Thank you.
Guest. Great chapter, but I still want Kudai to know the secret about One for All.
Okay, no matter how many times you say it, dude, the answer's the same. It's not coming out until I say it is.
Every single
chapter, this guy's like, hey.
I want Kudai. When is Kudai going to find out? I want him to know. I don't know if he's going to find out.
Because, so for a little bit of context, there's a lot of fan stories where people find out about All Might and Deku and One for All just because they want it to happen, and I'm just like, but this makes no sense.
I wouldn't fit
you literally shoehorn this in here. It's like, oh, he tripped and fell down the stairs and suddenly he's on top of All Might's coffee table.
That's like the equivalent of oh, Ahsoka was actually helping Luke when he was fighting Darth Vader in episode 5. It's like, what? No, but that she has no idea who he exists, and no,
Wait, are there people who think that?
I'm just giving an example.
Oh, okay,
I just made a hypothetical.
Okay, all right.
But
no, I like that.
I like that. You know what I mean? It's just you can't put something everywhere because you got to keep in mind of the overall story, and you can't mess with continuity.
Yeah, exactly. So
you can, but you shouldn't.
It's not outside the realm of the possibility for Kudai or for any of the other classmates to find out about One for All eventually.
Sure. It's bound to happen.
But it's so early in the story that it's as far as they know, it's he's just a late bloomer. You know.
Yep, that's what happened at the beginning of the semester. Kudai noticed that Deku was having some trouble controlling his powers. He's like, "Hey man, are you okay?" He says, "Well, my quirk didn't show up until earlier this year, so I'm having a really hard time controlling it." Kudai took it at face value because he didn't have any reason to think otherwise.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so as far as Kudai knows, he's a normal kid with a crazy power, just like everybody else in the school.
In their world, nobody is aware that it's possible to change a quirk from one body to another, so it's why would that even occur to you?
On the other hand, and I'm not this is a slight nitpick from me, but it's you'd think some more people would kind of be aware of the idea, and Izuku wouldn't have freaked out as much about it because there's 7 billion people and more than 6 billion of them have quirks. There's got to be somebody in that number who can pass quirk,
you have to think about it. even though it's been going on for a few generations at this point, that's still not a lot of time when you think of scientific study. So, and there's so many different, like, unique abilities that it's like, it'd be so difficult to study all of them, you know?
I think Izuku's generation is the 5th generation of quark users because when he went to the doctor, his mom said that him and his father were 4th generation quark users, I believe.
Even so, that's still a relatively new science.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
I mean, with something that's so groundbreaking. It
so I'll read out that part.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I can handle that part.
This is a long. This is a long one.
All right, Silver 4700.
This guy's one of our regulars, but only pops in every once in a while.
Okay.
Wow, I forgot to give reviews for the other chapters. Anyway, they were all awesome. Loved what you did with the tournament art. It seemed that every battle you showcased had some kind of specific purpose. The show did that too, just not as much. Such as Bakugo / Uraraka, Midoriya / Todoroki, and Bakugo versus Todoroki. It was interesting to see everyone face off against someone else if significant.
Someone else
of significance.
Was it a typo?
Yeah.
Okay.
I especially loved both the Ida Hikari fight and the Hikari Todoroki fights specifically. Also, because I forgot to give a review of the chapter where Ida discovered the relationship, let me get this out of my head. I apologize if you've never seen this skit on YouTube. And I'm going to let you take this away. Because
before I do that, I'm glad you like the fights. I'm glad you like the fights, dude. Yeah, when it came to, like, making the fight significance, like, I didn't want to detail a battle unless there was an emotional catharsis behind it of some kind. Because that's one of the things I like about My Hero Academia is, like, there's a lot of really cool fights, but all of them specialize in some sort of emotional oomph whenever they come out. Like, I honestly can't think of one where it's just like, oh, they fought because. I mean, there's a lot of that in Dragon Ball.
I was about to say that.
I mean, unless I'm wrong, is there one that you guys can think of where it's like it was just a fight because it was there?
I mean, there's some that are meant to be comical.
Yeah.
But aside from...
I'm trying to think of a comical fight.
In the tournament.
In the tournament? Oh, in the tournament, yeah.
But it's like, when it comes down to, like, everything else, it's like it always has a purpose. There's no dead wood.
Yeah. That's something that I have a lot of respect for the My Hero writer for, is that, like, every once in a while there's, like, some fun filler stuff, like with the school festival and they throw a concert and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's still really important character development happening.
There's character development happening. B, it's like, you need to treat your characters as real people, and, you know, it's like a lot of people tend to forget, it's like, they're high schoolers. They need fun school festivals, they're also going to go nuts. Because they're just going to be under stress and worry all the time. That'd be no good for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is important to, you're right, it is important to have some of those comedy moments happening in there. I probably should work on it. Yes, but I probably should work on that.
Oh, your references are good.
Are they good enough? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
So, all right. So, Ida finds out about Mina and Hikari and intends to stop it by any means necessary. Calls Bakugo. Ida, hello, Bakugo. Hey, what's up? I need your help. Can you come here? Can't, I'm buying clothes. All right, well, hurry up and get over here. I can't find them. What do you mean you can't find them? I can't find them. There's only soup. What do you mean there's only soup? It means there's only soup. Well, then get out of the soup aisle. All right, you don't have to shout at me. Walks to a different aisle. There's more soup. What do you mean there's more soup? There's just more soup. Go to the next aisle. There's still soup. Where are you right now? I'm at soup. What do you mean you're at soup? I mean I'm at soup. What store are you in? I'm at the soup store. Why are you buying clothes at the soup store? Screw you. Hangs up.
You people are so weird. I appreciate you, but you're really weird. He's seen the skit, so he gets it. Chris knows.
I hadn't seen it in years. I had to look. I saw the email with the review, and I was like, oh man, I should go look at the video.
I feel like the roles would have been reversed because Bakugo's more explosive.
Yeah, but Bakugo wouldn't care to bring somebody else up, so I guess that's why it worked.
Stupid.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay. Anyway.
You're like, go suck face where I can't see you.
Anyway, back to the review. Yeah, that's exactly what he'd say. Would you believe me if I said the idea to have a beach/party episode makes me want to chop off your limbs? rip out your intestines, and ride you like some kind
of a meat toboggan. I approve.
For once, he read the reviews beforehand today.
Wow.
If you can.
No, I didn't read that part. No, I just read this part.
Okay.
Is that like a reference to something?
Yeah, it's an SAO abridged reference.
Oh, I see.
Some kind of.
I'm alone in my enjoyment of that particular spectacle. So
you are not. Do you remember Josh Rivera?
Oh, does he like that?
Oh, he loves SAO.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'd give him crap about it too.
Nice.
But yes.
Yes.
I have to say, he was pushing himself because he is not a huge fan of beach episodes either.
No.
And so he was forcing himself to do it as a writing exercise.
Then I had my face turning red while I was typing it, and then it got worse when I had to read it to people, and I was just like, kill me now. Kill me now.
Chris and I were sitting there giggling on our phones while he was reading to us.
Just like, yeah.
And I'm just like, in my head, just like, shut up, let me get through it.
Hey, it wasn't bad.
No. It wasn't as cringeworthy as some of the other stuff I've written.
True. Alright, first, don't laugh at my comment. You will regret it.
Nope, too late now.
Please don't murder my husband. Second, you shouldn't believe me because I actually enjoy that idea and I'm excited to see what you do with it. Okay.
Well, I'm all kinds of confused now.
There's some mood swings happening here. It was also interesting to see. I think I relate though. I feel like we all secretly like the beach episodes, even though they're cringy.
It's a guilty pleasure kind of thing.
But if you watch Grand Blue, it's a beach episode all the time.
What's Grand Blue?
You'd hate it.
I'll take your word for it.
My cousin showed it to me, and then
I'll definitely take your word for it. Your cousin's not to be trusted.
I mean, he loves JoJo.
Yeah, like I said, your cousin's not to be trusted.
Hey, there's some JoJo fans here too.
What up?
These guys have definitely referenced.
Yeah, ask him how many times he's beaten me as JoJo on Jump Force. Oh wait, that's right, none.
I've beaten you in rounds as JoJo.
You've beaten me in rounds, but you've never claimed a victory in totality when you've had JoJo on your team.
This is true.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
It was also interesting to see what you did and will do with Endeavor and Hikari. Yeah, so Chris missed this. Endeavor and Hikari
had a face-to-face.
They crossed paths.
I don't know if you remember this or not, but Endeavor was responsible for Kurai's uncle being killed, basically.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, so they had a face-to-face. So you remember how in the original when Deku kind of runs into Endeavor in the hallway and Endeavor kind of is like, hey, go beat my son up?
Yes.
So he ran into Kurai instead, and Kurai's like, I'm going to kill this guy. Not actually, but he was getting ready to throw down with this guy, and then he had a moment where, but then ironically he had a moment where Ida had said something, and it came to him, and he's kind of drops it, and he's just kind of just get out of here. So that's and I say that with irony because in the original Ida goes on a quest for revenge against the hero killer. But in this case, it's his words that keep Kurai from doing something that he'll regret later on.
And it's like, you'd probably get pummeled at this point anyway, because he's a student.
Yeah.
So
either that or you fight too hard and get a brain bleed again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting leading up to the tension of Ida's decisions down the road.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Endeavor, do you expect me to apologize? Hikari, no, Mr. Todoroki, I expect you to die.
Is that a James Bond reference?
It is.
Yes, all James...
Which one?
It's from... I forget. It's one of the ones with Sean Connery, but he's like, do you expect me to survive? He's like, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I think it's one of the ones with Sean Connery.
It's been a long time
R.I.P.
since I've seen them. We were watching it at your dad's...
One of them, yeah.
I missed it.
Yeah.
All right. All James Bond references aside, I'm excited to see what you do with both the Saiyan copycat and the Discount Fire Lord ripoff. Because one does not simply make an enemy of the number 2 hero.
That's probably true.
Pretty good point.
But isn't Endeavor now the number 1 hero?
Not yet.
Not at this point. He's still in number... Because All Might's still in play.
Oh, that's right.
This is way back.
This is like a full season before All Might's final battle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I feel I should have more to say, but I honestly don't. All in all, good work on the chapters and the story as a whole. Now, if you'll excuse me, I may need to go say hi to an old friend as I am walking out. Hey, Gary. Long time no see.
Okay. We must save my family.
We must save my family. That's my favorite.
I appreciate all your references, man. Keep those coming. They make me laugh,
it.
even if nobody else.
Hey, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of SAO Bridged, but that's my favorite running gag. So.
I'm very curious to see if and how they could bring that back in the next season.
I hope they do. All right. Oh, they will. There's all the AI. Are you kidding me?
This is true.
There's nothing but AI in.
I don't know if they'll get that far. I'm talking about the Alfheim arc that they're in currently.
Anyway.
But no, you're right. There's like
plenty of
there's
AI.
thousands of Garys.
Mm-hmm. All of them are Gary's. It's gonna be. It's just his personal hell. It's amazing. Okay. Moving on. Silly Kita, my favorite. Okay. Okay. Several things to consider here. First of all, congratulations to Hikari. I always believed in you. Even if Todoroki handed you the fight on a silver platter, that is actually his silver medal. I was going somewhere with that, but now I've lost it. Methinks that Hikari will have a lot of internship offers, but the Endeavor Agency will not be one of them because screw that guy. Maybe him and Todoroki can do an internship together? That'd be cool, especially since I don't know if Zuko and Elsa's love child would feel like working with his dad this time around. But that might just be me.
Yes, we were all thinking it.
So Elsa's had love child with two people, Zuko and Darth Maul. Because the Night King in Game of Thrones, he literally looks like a frosted like Darth Maul. Nice. Yeah.
Man, Elsa gets around.
Yeah, she does.
Man, Elsa. Alright. Beach party is officially happening, okay? Still trying to see how you, of all people, no offense intended here, will handle a beach episode. None taken. It's Joseph.
Some offense taken.
Shade has been thrown.
It's
Ouch,
honestly,
man.
I felt the same way. At the
What is happening right now?
You impressed me though. I was impressed.
What is?
I was very surprised. It's you, honey. You like writing about people beating each other up, not showing boobs. Okay. All right.
That is better than boobs. I'll give you that.
That was pitiful. There we go.
Should be entertaining, whether it's because you continue your habit of good writing or because you step a little too far outside your comfort zone and write something that just makes me giggle. Sorry, man, but it's a possibility that I'm waiting for. After all, not everything a good writer puts out can be a gem. Though I suppose I'm willing to be proven wrong on that score.
There's so much shade being thrown at me right now. What's happening?
Hey, he has an open mind. He's continuing to read.
That's true.
The award ceremony made me laugh more than it probably should have, seeing as Bakugo being tied up and gagged was not a new gimmick. But I suppose that him having to share the spot with Midoriya was what did it. Karmic justice has just been dispensed to my liking, though I will happily witness more servings of said justice if Bakugo continues to be the recipient. Cementos kind of being the other side about the whole Bakugo presentation thing also made me smile. Alright. Now, Yaoyorozu. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to have to go with some of the other readers and say that she might have been crushing on Hikari at the beginning of the semester when he passed her over for Ashido. It probably stung a lot. It's either that or you've misdirected us well enough that I shall admit to being utterly bamboozled come January. Hero names mean no hero in... sorry. Hero mean hero internship arc. Bring it on! Sorry, I mean...
Hero memes?
Names.
Hero names. Okay,
I can't
alright.
talk. I'm sorry. We've reached that point in the evening, as usual. You guys wrote a lot today. Sorry,
This is a lot more than we usually get.
Sorry, I'm usually more composed than that. On the other hand, of course, I have made no effort to hide my excitement on the matter. So, yeah, I'm just excited. I am very excited. But now I am also very worried for good boy Ida because Hikari seems very worried about him in the preview. He knows the guy better than pretty much anyone else, so I'm seeing some big red flags coming. That kind of makes me think that their class rep is going to do the whole shutting his friends out bit, which is not good. I don't want bad boy Ida. I want to keep good boy Ida. I agree. We all love
I feel like bad boy Ida is like the anime equivalent of like emo Tobey Maguire. Just like the hair, and he's just like...
I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head now.
Thank you. you for that.
Of
That's
course.
just.
And they'll be doing it like super quickly because of the super speed.
Someone please animate that.
Oh,
Or instead of
please.
doing this, like, he might be going like,
He would be doing that. He would be doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't move his fingers individually.
yep.
Oh my god.
So,
The
oh
meme
my
has
gosh.
been born.
If I wrote the
Okay, my
entire
meme
story for
friends.
what? If I wrote the entire story for one purpose, that might have been it.
Perfect.
I know you guys are good with memes. Somebody do it. I
Make
know
it-
I'm a visual
make it
artist and I'm
happen.
lazy. Somebody else do it for me because I really
Yes.
want to laugh at it. All right. Why am I using so many boys today? I think I skipped my meds. I'm gonna go fix that. Have a good holiday season in the meantime, and don't forget to listen to way too much Christmas music. Guilty confession, I listened to it starting in July, and I'm not sorry about that.
Hey, you
have a
do
nerve.
you.
You have a
but
nerve made of steel, because I'd be pulling my hair out at this point.
Good for you.
Really gotta go take my meds. Bye!
Yeah, don't skip those, dude.
We both need them. No worries.
Hey, if you can, that's great. The only reason I don't is because I worked at JCPenney for like a few months, and all I would hear is Mariah Carey's
Oh man.
on loop every other song.
When I worked at Walmart, at least they had the decency to mix Mariah Carey in with a few different artists.
It's fair.
But and they would start
Yeah,
playing. They would start playing it
retail.
in November.
I did work retail for a short time during holiday seasons.
Wait, when was it?
Walgreens.
Walgreens. You worked there for like 3 weeks, right? What are you complaining about?
Must have been a pretty bad 3 weeks.
Yeah, I almost passed out because I was in college and I wasn't sleeping and I was working all night. So.
Oh,
it's
well
great.
then.
Yeah, my last day of
There you
work, I put my notice in and I literally like fell because I almost passed. It was like on the verge of passing. It was great. It was great. I applaud you guys who did retail for so long because, I mean, I'm an elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
I'm on my feet all day long. Ain't got nothing on retail.
I think the
It
worst. I think
sucks.
the worst workloads that I ever had was I would work at a pizza place in like starting at 6 in the morning, and then I would work like an 8-hour shift there, and then I would have like a 30-minute break, like not even to eat. I would like to eat in the car, and then I would go over and work at a McDonald's like until the graveyard shift, and I wouldn't get home until like 1 in the morning.
That was fun.
And then I would like rinse, and I would do that like 3 times. I would do that like 3 times a week, and like the other days I would like alternate between working at the pizza place and McDonald's. So I made some money that way, but like after like 2, because this was leading up to us getting married. But after like 2 months of that, I was just like, I don't care how much money I'm making. This is not worth it. I'm gonna die.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, tangent.
We tend to do that.
Now for the reading.
Now for the reading, we'll be back here in a few minutes to discuss the behind the scenes of what goes into this next chapter.
I am. Kodai breathed in deeply, inhaling the fresh smell of the wind and ocean spray as the warm rays of the late morning sun touched on his face. He was dressed for a full day at the beach, with his blue and orange Dragon Ball swim trunks and a black tank top, a Shenron towel in hand, and a bag full of his favorite snacks and drinks on the other arm. In front of him lay Dagobah Municipal Beach, clear of trash and yet to be sought out by anyone else from the local populace. Are you kidding me? Kodai turned around to see Mina and Uraraka standing together, both of them looking as though they were trying not to laugh, apparently the first ones to arrive after him. Both of them were dressed in shirts that were way too big for them, presumably to shield their skin from the sun until they were ready to get in the water. Mina wore a big hat in her head, but Uraraka's hair was simply let loose. Between the two of them, lying on the sand, was a large duffel bag and a beach ball. The young man glanced down at himself, then back to the two girls before he said, "Don't hate." Both of his classmates burst into peals of laughter, much to his chagrin. Shrugging helplessly, Kodai patted over to the pair in his flip-flops before he set down his things and said, "Is it really that funny? You're in Midoriya, man." Mina giggled. 500 yen says that he shows up in All Might swimmers. No way, he'd be too embarrassed. Kodai told her. "You're on, Ashido." "Whoa now," the pink-skinned girl said as she cheekily grinned at her boyfriend. "You? Gambling? Who are you and what have you done with Kodai?" "I just won the sports festival," he replied with a slight grin. "Maybe I'm feeling a little more confident in general." "Ah, yeah?" Mina said with a smile that Kodai recognized as dangerous. "If you're feeling so confident, let's see your guns." Both Kodai and Uraraka went scarlet while their classmate kept her smile fixed in place. "Come on, don't be shy." "Well, now I am," he sputtered. "Pfft, you were gonna have to lose that shirt when you got in the water anyway," she replied casually. "Come on, you got nothing to be embarrassed about. Other than Todoroki, you might just be the most ripped guy in our class. I want to see." "But, well, clearly you haven't seen Midoriya during training," Kodai replied lamely. "Pretty sure he's in better shape than I am." Nah, pretty sure Uraraka has dibs on ogling Midoriya once he gets out here, Mina said offhandedly, ignoring her friend's sputtering protests as she turned beet red. Come on, the sun's out, so get the guns out! I'm going to die of embarrassment, Kodai said blankly as Mina continued to eye him like a prized jewel while Uraraka found a sudden interest in the sand between her toes. Seriously, my sense of shame is going to kill me before a villain does. Before Mina could berate him again, the trio heard a familiar voice calling out to them. Hey! Kirishima called as he approached with Kaminari, Tokoyami, and Ojiro in tow. What's up, guys? Kodai breathed a huge sigh of relief as he turned to face his friends with a wave and the words, Just got here a few minutes ago. Glad you could all make it. Mina gave him a pouting face at having been thwarted, at least temporarily, that he chose to ignore. By now, the other boys had gotten close enough that they didn't need to shout to be heard over the sounds of the waves on the beach. Ready for some serious beach partying? Kaminari grinned as he gave his classmate a double thumbs up. I know I need a fun day after all that stress from the sports festival, Ojiro said with a slight grimace. Plus, it's been a long time since I went to a beach at all. This is going to be a perfect way to chill out before we get back to school. I was under the impression that there would be more of us in attendance, Tokoyami said as he glanced around the mostly empty beach. Or are we simply early? Well, I did say it was an all-day kind of thing, so I don't know when everyone else is going to get here, Mina shrugged. I'm sure we can start having fun in the meantime, though. Did you bring the volleyball, Ejiro? You know it. Kirishima grinned fiercely as he held up a blue and white rubber sphere. Sucks that we can't use our quirks out in public, but I bet we could still have a pretty epic match. Oh yeah, Kaminari said as he frowned slightly. I almost forgot about that. Since we get to use our quirks around each other so much, it totally slipped my mind that superpowers aren't allowed without a license. Be glad Jiro didn't hear that, or she'd have something to say about it. Kodai snickered, causing Kaminari to turn toward him with a pained look. Still, he did seem to agree, saying, yeah, probably. The group quickly laid down a few towels for those that wanted to lie down safely on the rapidly heating sand, while Kirishima and Ojiro set up a net for a volleyball match. While they were doing that, Asui and Hagakure arrived, followed by Aoyama, Shoji, Sero, Sato, and Koda. Last to show were Midoriya and Jiro, who arrived from opposite directions, the green-haired student apologizing for his lateness, while Jiro simply laid down a towel next to Hagakure and started talking to her in lowered tones. Unfortunately for Kodai, Midoriya did show up in a set of All Might swim trunks, so Mina reminded him that he owed her 500 yen. Making a face at her, he moved to greet his classmate with open arms. Glad to see you here, Kodai said as he finished shaking hands with his friend. Did he tell you about what's happening with his brother? No, I haven't heard from him at all, Midoriya said worriedly. Did he call you? Yeah, but the news was pretty mixed, Kodai admitted as he led Izuku a few paces away from the others. Already, Kirishima and Sato were organizing a volleyball game with two opposing teams. Once they were far enough away to speak privately in lower tones, he said, He called me yesterday afternoon. Tensei is going to live, but he's retiring as Ingenium due to spinal injuries that rendered his legs useless. Midoriya's face twisted with despair and shock as he said, That's awful. How is Ida handling it? I didn't get to talk with him for very long, but I can only imagine what this is doing to him. What it's going to do to him. Kodai admitted grimly. You know Tenya. He idolizes Tensei and wants to be just like him in every way. For his role model to be shattered like this, I just hope he can continue to focus on his efforts to become Ingenium, just like Ingenium, despite these horrible circumstances. They didn't catch the guy that did it, huh? Midoriya guessed, to which Kodai nodded glumly. The hero killer stain, he said as he tightened his fist in reflexive anger. I assume you know what the media says about him. Yeah, but most of it is rumors, nothing solid, his friend replied. He's killed over a dozen pros and maimed more than twice as many, all without getting caught and protecting his civilian identity. Yeah, Dad won't talk to me about it, but I'm sure he's nervous about what'll happen if this guy decides to set his sights on Mustafa. Kodai sighed heavily. Worries me too. Then again, this is All Might's stomping grounds now. I have a hard time believing that even somebody as crazy as Stain would try to tangle with All Might on purpose. True, but so much about the hero killer is unknown that he's basically impossible to tell where he'll strike next or which heroes he prefers to target, Izuku muttered. Although the authorities did notice that whenever he visits, he always sparks at least 4 victims before he moves on, and since Ingenium is the second hero to be attacked in Hosu, we'll likely at least see 2 more reports like this one. Unfortunate as it... Midoriya, chill. Kodai interjected, causing his friend to pause and look at him blankly. It's not like we're in a position to do anything about this, much as it frustrates me. The truth is that we aren't licensed heroes yet, and even if we were, we can't go around in pursuit of revenge, you know? Real heroes don't stop criminals for personal reasons. They only take them down because they have the responsibility to protect those that can't protect themselves. Oh, right, Izuku stammered. Sorry, I was meaning to say that we shouldn't I wasn't meaning to say that we should go after the guy. It's just a force habit, overanalyzing everything that I can about major villains and heroes. Hey, it's a habit that took you pretty far in the sports festival, Kudai admitted. Now what do you say we try to put aside our troubles for a day and relax like normal kids that don't have to worry about villain leagues and all that? Sounds plus ultra to me, Midoriya said with a slightly forced laugh. The class soon found itself divided into two teams on different sides of the net. Kirishima was the captain of the first team, which consisted of Aoyama, Uraraka, Asui, Ojiro, Hagakure, and Sero. Sato led the team with Midoriya, Jiro, Mina, Kaminari, Tokoyami, and Kodai. Koda more or less declined to play, so due to the uneven number of people participating, Shoji offered to be the referee for the match. Since he could monitor things with more eyes and ears than anyone else, the others agreed to the idea. Once the teams had been selected, the classmates ditched their extra clothing, knowing that the heat would become unbearable if they got moving in the hot sand. Kodai's face reddened as he heard Mina whistling and laughing while his back was turned, but he went ahead and removed his shirt anyway. Beneath the tank top, he was well muscled for a 15-year-old, though he knew his physique was nothing compared to people like Ida and Shoji. There was some patchy scarring on his back, a result of being thrown through a sculpture by a Nomu earlier that semester, but not so much that it made him appear unattractive. Looking around, he felt a little less self-conscious when he noticed that all his classmates were already tossing aside their shirts in preparation of the game. He full stopped when he saw Mina, though. Asui and Jiro were wearing one-piece swimsuits, nothing to turn a guy's head. And even though Hagakure and Uraraka were sporting bikinis, they did nothing to hold his attention like his girlfriend. She wore a two-piece sky blue swimsuit with frills that highlighted all of her curves, and the way that she walked in it told him that she well knew it was going to grab his attention. When his eyes snapped up to meet her caramel one, she gave him a sly smile and a slow wink. Like what you see? She seemed to be asking him. There was only one thing he could do at that point. Why'd you do that? Sato asked as he held the ball in preparation to serve it. I'm a little sensitive to the heat, so I needed to cool off, Kudai muttered as he flung salt water out of his hair. His body was still dripping with the stuff, but he knew it would evaporate soon enough in the heat of the sun. I'm good now, though. Let's do this. He cast an exasperated glance at Mina, who affected to look innocent in that moment. You're going down, Deku. Uraraka grinned as she took a ready stance in the sand. You too, Hikari. In your dreams, Kaminari shot back with a smile of his own. We got this year's champ on our team. Remember, no quirks, Shoji told him. That means you too, Ojiro, Asui. I told you guys to call me Sue. Sorry about that, Mina said as she sat next to Kodai on the towel that he had brought out. Earlier. The class had just finished playing a third volleyball match, and most of the players felt that a break was in order by this time. Kodai was drinking a small orange soda from his bag, and as Mina came to join him, he pulled out another one to offer to her. It's alright, he replied with a sheepish smile. I honestly should have expected it, and his face reddened as he admitted in a lowered tone. I can't say it wasn't a nice surprise. She grinned brightly at him as she accepted the drink, leaning sideways just enough to nudge his shoulder with her own before straightening up and saying, I'm glad you're enjoying the beach then. Maybe when summer vacation starts up, we can come back here, just the two of us. Sure, he answered after a moment of consideration. That sounds like a good time. But before all that, I did want to let you know that I have a surprise for when it's time to go home this evening. You planning a surprise for me? She asked with an exaggerated surprise. Someone help! I think my boyfriend has a heat stroke. He's acting super weird. Wow. Ouch. He said as he stood up before finishing off his mini soda. Here I was getting ready to drown so that you'd have to perform CPR, but oh well. Wait, what? She yelped before he took off running, his laughter following him into the water. She watched him with wide eyes as he crashed into the waves alongside Kirishima and Midoriya, who had broken out the beach ball with Uraraka and Hagakure. He's learning how to play this game a lot faster than I thought he would, she said with a cheery grin. The group wound up spending the full day at the beach, alternating between splashing about in the water, trying to crush each other at volleyball, and working a barbecue. Kudai could honestly not recall the last time he had spent so long smiling and playing, like a normal kid. His only regret was that Ida was not there to spend it with them. As it turned out, Sato was great at making food, something he claimed was necessary since his quirk allowed him to power up whenever he ate sugar. However, it also seemed that he was very talented when it came to handling a grill, so the group ate well for lunch. At around 4 o'clock, the party was joined by a somewhat unexpected guest. Hello, Hikari, Todoroki said as he approached his opponents from the final round of the tournament, a backpack slung over his shoulder. I suppose I'm a bit late, aren't I? Not at all, Kudai said with a friendly smile as he shook hands with his classmate. We're going to be here for another few hours. Some of the others wanted to make s'mores after it gets dark. I see, the heterochromic boy said. I can help with the fire when the time comes then. The remark surprised Kurt, so while Todoroki set his things down, he asked, "That won't bother you?" "No," the other boy replied simply. "Well, good for you, then," Kurt said awkwardly. Glancing up at his classmate, Todoroki straightened himself and asked, "How is Ida? I saw what happened to his brother on the news." Kurt winced and replied, "He's taking it pretty hard from what I can tell. We didn't talk for long when he did call me." "I see," Todoroki said again, a faraway look in his eyes. "Ingenio was a good hero. He deserved better than to be brought down by scum like the hero killer." "Yeah," Kurt said glumly, his smile now completely gone. Seeing it, Todoroki shook himself and said, "Sorry, I didn't mean to bring down the mood. What is everyone else doing right now?" Glad that the subject was changing, Kurt pointed to Kirishima and Kaminari, who were digging in the sand at a rapid pace. Those two think they can dig deep enough under the sand to make a bridge that won't collapse when one of them walks on it. Everyone else is either still splashing around or waiting for them to fail. Todoroki smiled slightly and said, "I think I'll go for a swim then." "Hey, Todoroki?" Kurt asked as they began to walk toward the water together. "Yes." "Would you care to join me and Midoriya for our workouts from time to time?" he offered. "We both find it easier to become motivated when you have someone pushing you on instead of just going at it alone." Todoroki seemed to ponder this for a moment, but then he replied, "I'll let you know if I can make it later this week." "Awesome," Kurt said with a large grin. The moon was well into the sky by the time the fire was put out, and everyone else started going their separate ways. Kurt noticed that Todoroki was still silent most of the time, but he didn't leave early, which he took as a sign that he was genuinely trying to become more familiar with his classmates. Midoriya, of course, tried to make him feel more welcome, but only partially succeeded. It was while everyone was walking off the beach that Kurt walked over to Mina, put his hand in hers, and said, "Come on, I'll take you home." "You're gonna ride the bus all the way to the other side of the town and then back to your place?" She laughed as Uraraka and Jiro waved goodbye to the couple. "That's sweet of you, but you don't have to do that." "Who said anything about taking the bus?" he asked with a grin as he led her over to the parking lot where there was a solitary vehicle waiting for use. Seeing it, Mina stopped in place and let a huge grin split her face as she said, "No friggin' way." "Yes way," Kurt said as he reached into a bag and pulled out a heavy leather jacket and a helmet with a visor. "You'll need these." "Awesome!" Mina laughed as she took the gear and walked over to an orange motorcycle with blue highlights. "Best boyfriend ever!" The bike was a Kawasaki Ninja model, and it was clear from the paint job and overall condition of the thing that Kurt had put a lot of work and care into it. There was a small rear seat and detachable compartments on either side of the main seat, which Kurt put his and Mina's belongings in, after taking out his own helmet and jacket. Slipping the protective gear onto his head, he said, "Ready for one last bit of fun before you have to go home?" "Heck yeah!" the girl said excitedly as she started to get her own helmet in place, surprised to find there were already holes for her horns to get through. "Man, you didn't miss a trick!" She giggled as she tightened the strap under her chin and started putting on the jacket. "Did you modify this helmet yourself?" "Nah," he replied as he sat down on the main seat. "I was originally going to lend you Akarui since your head is a little smaller than mine, but I realized I couldn't modify it without compromising the integrity of the helmet. So I just went out and bought you one." Mina paused, surprised. "Wait, aren't these things supposed to be super expensive if you buy one with a quirk mod?" she asked. He shrugged nonchalantly and answered, "Well, I figured this wouldn't be the only time you want to take my bike out for a spin, so I decided it was a worthwhile investment." Heat flooded her cheeks as she realized what he was saying, that he was willing to plan things out for the long haul. Man, he's cute, she thought as she settled into the passenger seat, wrapping her arms around him and suddenly getting a reminder of how ripped he actually was, even through the heavy jacket. Damn, he's hot. "You're gonna have to hold tight or else because there's not a lot of room back there," he warned her as he put the keys into the ignition. "No complaints here." She laughed right before he turned the ignition and the engine roared to life. "Great." Mina was surprised to hear Kodai's voice coming into her ears clearly despite the noise from the engine. He must have registered her interest because he then added, "Akarui made a couple of modifications himself. These helmets are equipped with radios that let us talk to each other, even with all the ruckus." "Sweetness," she grinned. "You'll have to tell him I said thanks." "Will do," he laughed. "Now let's move it." He kicked up the brake stand, revved the engine, and much faster than Mina would have ever expected him to, gunned out of the parking lot onto the road. "Whoa!" she yelped, squeezing him tighter around the chest. That was okay, though. Kodai didn't object one bit to her closeness as he raced around the perimeter of the night city, his normally reclusive nature forgotten in the thrill of the uncrowded road. He had decided earlier to take the roundabout path to her home, as to enjoy the evening sights for just a little longer. As he sped across the outskirts of the home city, he thought, "I love my school, I made some great friends, and to top it off, I've got a really awesome girlfriend. I don't see how my life could get any better than this." Wow, I was wrong. He felt like his head was going to explode as Mina's lips disconnected from his, and she stepped back a pace on her front porch, her cheeks colored lilac. "Thanks for everything today," she said meekly, which was very out of character for her, especially given that she had started it. "I had a really good time." Me too," he said a little unsteadily, his own face flushing. There was something I was supposed to ask you, but now I'm having a really hard time remembering." The kiss hadn't been very soft or magical like the movies made it seem it would be. In fact, he'd felt pretty awkward throughout the whole thing, during the first few seconds that it lasted. Even so, it wasn't something that he was going to forget in a hurry, and he definitely had enjoyed it himself after the initial shock. "Well, the first one scrambled your brain, maybe another one will get it started up again," she said as she leaned toward him. Of course, as bad luck would have it, that's when he remembered the matter he'd been trying to recall. "Wait a sec, I've got it!" he said as he reached into his jacket pocket. He noticed Mina was now looking annoyed with him, so he held out the ticket that he'd been saving. "Here you go." "What's this?" she asked as she took it from him, the frown on her face changing from irritated to curious. "A plane ticket?" "To Island," he confirmed. "They're having an expo for all the newest hero support inventions right after school gets out for summer break. My family got offered tickets to the pre-show, but my mom and dad can't make it. Since it's all expenses paid, Akarui and I were going to go, and I asked them for permission to take you with us. They said yes." He didn't have to explain what the I Island was to her. Everyone knew that just as UA turned out the top heroes, I Island produced the greatest scientists in the world for creating support items and studying quirks in general. It was incredibly difficult to even visit the place, so the fact that Hogoshes had been invited was a very big deal. "For real?" Ashido squealed excitedly, her irritation completely forgotten. "Yeah," he chuckled, glad that his idea had worked. "I take it that means you want to come with?" "I think I'd have to be crazy not to take you up on that," she laughed as she hugged him tightly. "Thank you so much." "You're welcome," he replied as he returned the hug. "I actually heard some of the others talking about Yayorozu getting extra tickets for the pre-show, so we'll be able to meet up once we're all there." "Sweet!" Mina exclaimed. "Group trip! This is gonna be awesome!" "Yeah, so long as I don't kill Akarui by the end of it." Kodai laughed again as they pulled apart. "Why would you do that?" "You and me are going to be going on a trip. Together." He pointed out wryly. "He is my younger brother. It's in his job description to make fun of me at every opportunity he has in situations like this." "Oh." Mina giggled as she put his arms around her neck and moved her face closer to his. "Well, I think I know what might make you feel better." Kodai was still smiling when he walked to the entrance of the school the next day. Even the incessant rain and reporters gathered outside of his house when he had left hadn't managed to irritate him, and the fact that he had been able to shut them all down with an EMP burst didn't hurt things either. "Man, I'm glad Yayorozu never asked for this thing back," he had thought as he pocketed the device from his first day of combat training. They had all been trying to get an interview with the boy that had won the sports festival, in a controversial manner no less, but he had refused to go on the record thus far. He didn't feel like dragging Todoroki's name through the mud, and he definitely didn't care to have the media picking apart and microanalyzing everything that he said. He met up with Midoriya at Tatooine Station and rode the train with him toward their school. Of course, people recognized from the sports festival, and there was some crowding and well wishes from their fellow passengers, which made the boys uncomfortable, though they tried not to show it. When that was finally done, they put on their umbrellas and walked the rest of the way to school. "Kind of weird being recognized by people you don't know," Midoriya said as they passed through the gates. "I'm just glad they aren't trying to get a quote off for me to use against my dad," Kodai replied. "Not often my family receives positive attention from the public." His friend looked like he was going to reply, but then they both heard a familiar voice coming up behind them. "Midoriya! Hikari!" The two of them turned around to see Ida running at full tilt toward them in a poncho. "Why are you walking so slow? You'll be late!" Without even slowing down, he shot past them, leaving small splashes in his wake. "The bell isn't for another 5 minutes," Izuku protested when Kodai remained silent. "UA students should always be 10 minutes early," Ida called back over his shoulder. "Hurry up!" "Well, it seems like he's doing okay, right?" Midoriya said to Kodai, who was still being quiet. "Hikari?" The other boy looked at his friend gravely and said, "He's not okay, Midoriya." What do you mean?" "If he was fine, he would have stopped to lecture us about our slow pacing, not just run by and leave a passing remark," Kodai answered. "And he never calls me by my last name, not since we were younger." "Well, maybe he's just in a hurry to get back to class," Midoriya chuckled nervously. "Other than Yayorozu, I don't know of anybody in our class that takes studying as seriously as he does." "Trust me," Kodai said firmly, drawing a concerned look from his friend. "I've known the guy for years. He's not okay." "It's so weird that people recognized us from TV," Mina said as she took her seat in the classroom, having just finished greeting Kodai with an energetic hug. "People kept wanting to talk to me on the way here." The first bell had already rang, so the students were all just waiting for their teacher to arrive. As Kurdai made his way to his seat, he made sure to greet Uraraka and Todoroki, along with the other classmates that he had become friends with. "Yeah, me too," Kirishima said excitedly in response to Mina's declaration. "People on the street were staring at me," Hagakure said from behind her desk. "It was actually kind of embarrassing." "Isn't that the norm for you?" Ojiro inquired. "You're not going to believe what a bunch of elementary school brats yelled at me," Sero groaned as he sat down. "Nice try," Asui guessed, which set Sero to burying his face in his hands with a pitiful whimper. "All it took was one festival and we're basically celebrities," Kaminari said happily as he bumped fists with Mina. "This school rocks!" Just then the door slid open to reveal Aizawa, free of his bandages, though it appeared as though he had been left with a crooked scar underneath his right eye, a result of Nomu's attempt to kill him. But he is alive, Kurdai thought as he shut his eyes against those painful memories. And it looks like he should still be able to use his quirk. His physical appearance saw to Asui, saying, "Mr. Aizawa, you look better now that your bandages are gone." The old lady went overboard in her treatment, the tired-looking man said as he walked in and shut the door behind him. As he took his place at the podium, he added, "That's not relevant. What matters today is that we'll be having an important session concerning hero informatics." Kurdai sighed heavily. "I hate informatics," he thought as he reached for his notebook and pencil. He wasn't bad at the subject. To the contrary, having been raised by a police officer, he was pretty familiar with the laws concerning quirks. However, that didn't mean he was inclined to like it. He froze in place when he heard Aizawa say, "You all need code names. Time to pick your hero identities." The class's reaction was immediate and instantly unanimous. "This is gonna be awesome!" Most of the majority of them cried. A growl from Aizawa, with his eyes glowing red, saw to them all being silenced immediately. Once they were quiet, he released his quirk and said, This is related to the Pro Hero draft pick that I mentioned the last time we were in class. Normally, first years like you wouldn't have to worry about the draft just yet. Not until the second or even third year. But your class is different." He paused as if wondering whether to tell them something, then continued, "The fact is that by extending offers to freshmen like you, these pros are willing to invest in your potential. However, they can rescind their offers at any point before graduation if they lose interest in you." Harsh but fair, Kurdai thought. It was a big risk for pro agencies to invite students like them who were just barely getting a handle on their quirks for hero work. That didn't stop him from feeling excited about the prospect of getting to work with the pro hero. "So we have to prove ourselves even after we've been recruited?" Hagakure asked. "Correct," Aizawa said as he aimed a remote at the board behind him. "Now, here are the totals for those of you that received offers." As he did, white kanji and numbers appeared on the board, each number corresponding with the hero's name, which read, Sero 14, Uraraka 20, Kaminari 77, Kirishima 78, Yaoyorozu 108, Asui 252, Ida 360, Bakugo 419, Midoriya 840, Todoroki 3,556, Hikari 3,952. Needless to say, Kurdai was stunned speechless. "I knew there was a lot of hero agencies in Japan, but that many want me to sign on with them?" He thought with no small amount of wonder. "Normally the draft is spread more evenly," Aizawa was saying, "but there's a pretty big gap this time." "Ah!" Kaminari groaned as he leaned back in his chair. "That's not fair!" "What about the real star, moi?" Aoyama complained, but nobody paid attention to him. "Man, Todoroki and Hikari really have their pick of the bunch," Kirishima said with a trace of envy. "Weird that even though Bakugo was one of the semi-finalists, he only got about half as many offers as Midoriya," Jiro noted. "They probably weren't too excited about the guy that had to be chained up at the end," Sero snickered. Bakugo did not like that. "Those numbers gotta be wrong!" he seethed as he stood up in his chair. "Deku doesn't even compare to me!" "There's no mistake, Bakugo," Aizawa said sternly. "Sit down." Grinding his teeth furiously while Midoriya fidgeted nervously in place, Katsuki sat. Meanwhile, Yaoyorozu and Todoroki were speaking in lowered tones, with the former looking disappointed in herself for not having attracted more agencies. On the other side of the room, Uraraka was shaking Ida excitedly at the prospect of having been noticed by any agencies at all. "Despite these results, you'll all be interning with pros. Got it?" Aizawa told them. "Even those of you who didn't get any offers. You've all had experience in fighting villains during the USJ incident, but it will still be beneficial for you to see pros in action, up close and personal." "If we're going to be out in the field, we need hero names," Satsu declared excitedly. "Things just got way more exciting," Uraraka said in agreement. "The hero names will likely be temporary," Aizawa warned them, "but take them seriously or else you'll have hell to pay later." a new voice declared as the door was thrown open. Damn it, why? Kodai groaned inwardly as Midnight stepped into the door dressed in her hero costume. The name you pick could well be your hero identity for life, the woman said as she waltzed into the room. So think carefully or else you may get stuck with something utterly indecent. Must she? Kodai thought as he introduced his palm to his face. She makes a good point, Aizawa said as he reached for his sleeping bag. Midnight will have final approval for your hero names. It's not really my thing, so I'm going to take a nap. With a name like Eraserhead, that is not surprising. Kodai thought as the man moved aside to slip into his bag. However, it seemed that the man did have one last piece of advice. Your hero name will reinforce your image and shows exactly what kind of hero you want to be in the future, he told them. A code name tells people what you represent. Take All Might, for example. Midnight handed small whiteboards out to the front row so they could pass them back, along with dry erase markers. They were to write down their chosen hero name and identity before giving them to the teacher, apparently. Good thing I already know who I'm going to be, Kodai thought with a grin as he quickly opened his pen and penned in his desired hero identity and the title that would go with it. He remembered how Uraraka had asked him if he ever thought of his superhero name before things got crazy at the USJ. Now he was ready to embrace his new identity. After a few minutes had passed and Aizawa was fast asleep, Midnight stirred from the spot she had taken and asked, All right, class, who among you is ready to share? Wait, we're going to be presenting these? Kodai thought, startled. Looking around, he noticed that most of his classmates looked just as nervous as he did. Most, not all. Aoyama went first, stepping up to the podium and declaring that he was the shining hero I cannot stop twinkling. Even after Midnight shortened it for him, Kodai was in disbelief. Does he not understand how much of a tool that makes him sound? He wondered. Next to go was Mina, which Kodai was interested to hear. I'm going to be the Ridley hero, Alien Queen, she declared, much to Midnight's horror. You mean like that horrible monster with the acid blood? She escaped. I don't think so, not unless you want to scare people. Dang it! Mina grumbled as she walked back to her seat. Bummer. Kodai thought with a frown as his girlfriend sat down, looking dejected. Next to go was Asui, who named herself as the rainy season hero Froppy. It was well received, not only by Midnight, but the rest of her class, who cheered for her new hero identity. After her went Kirishima, who declared himself as the sturdy hero Red Riot. Midnight noted that he was paying homage to a second-generation hero, Crimson Riot, warning them that if he was going to do so, he would have that much more to live up to. However, Kirishima eagerly accepted the burden, as it were, saying that he would live up to the name of his great idol. Jiro was going to be the hearing hero, Earphone Jack. Shoji would become the tentacle hero, Tentacole. Sarah was the taping hero, Cellophane, which everyone had to admit was pretty spot on. The martial arts hero, Tailman, was Ojiro's new name, while Sato became the sweets hero, Sugarman. Kaminari, despite Jiro's suggestions otherwise, decided that his hero identity would be Charge Bolt, the stun gun hero. The Invisible Girl was claimed by Hagakure, who called herself the stealth heroine, and Yaoyorozu became the everything hero, Creating. When it came time for Todoroki to present his own name, he announced that he would simply go by his birth name, Shoto. Tsukuyomi, the jet black hero, was Tokoyami, as it translated roughly to the god of the night. His classmates all thought it pretty fitting. Koda was the petting hero, Anima. Bakugo's first pick, King Explosion Murder, was shut down pretty quickly by Midnight on the grounds that it was too violent. When it came time for Uraraka to present, it was no small amount of nervousness that she called herself Uravity, which Kodai thought was very catchy, much like Asui's chosen identity. Kodai was a little surprised when Mina came over to his desk and said, So, I got nothing other than Pinky. Think you can help me pick out a new name? Well, he said, not entirely sure of what he should say now. Since it was going to be her hero name, would it be right for him to have a say in such an important decision? On the other hand, the earnest look on her face made it difficult for him to refuse her. With that in mind, he chanced upon a name that he hoped she would find favor with. What do you think of Ashid? He asked apprehensively. Ashid? She repeated, looking a little confused at first. Wait, like my name, but take the last letter off to make it sound more like my quirk? I mean, if you don't like it... No, that's not it at all, she said with an impish grin. I kind of like it. It's like how Achako's name is a play on hers, and her quirk. Cute. Really? He asked, hoping that she wasn't just pulling his leg. Really? She giggled. Thanks, Kodai. Now I just need a title to go with it. That part I can handle myself, though. With that, she retreated to her desk, leaving her boyfriend curious as to what she would pick for herself. Bakugo tried again, saying that he would be Lord Explosion Murder. Once again, Midnight rejected the name, saying that it was too similar to his original title, and thus carrying the same violent overtones. While the blonde boy seethed in his chair, Mina stepped up to the podium once again, her confidence back on her bouncy gait. Setting her whiteboard on the wood with gusto, she announced, "Thanks to a suggestion from my best friend, I'm going to call myself the Melting Heroine, Acid Queen." "Now that's a name I can get behind," Midnight said approvingly. "With your looks and confidence, I think you're right to call yourself the Queen, girl." "Yes!" Mina said with an enthusiastic fist pump, and that preceded her return to her desk. Grinning at Kudai, she jerked her head toward the podium. Encouraged by her gesture and enthusiasm, it was at this point that Kudai stepped up to show his new name. Midnight quirked her brow at him and she said, "So, our number 1 first-year student. What did you decide on? Remember, people already have high expectations for you, given your knack for success." "I'm well aware," Kudai said as he turned to face his classmates from the podium with his whiteboard in hand. As he lifted it up, he declared, "I am the guardian hero, Kai. In all times of life, good and bad, I will stand up for the people that need me." "Very well done," Midnight said approvingly, much to his relief. "It's simple and easy to remember, plus it sounds close to your own name, which makes it easier to associate with you. I see that several of you have chosen this style, and I think it will serve you well in your future careers." "So, ready for our internships, Deku?" Kudai grinned at his friend as their class began to disperse across the train station, each of them headed for a different destination across Japan. It was a week after they had all chosen their hero names, and Aizawa had just given them leave to head out for their internships. Midoriya grinned at the sound of his own hero name before he replied, "Yeah, I'm excited to meet this pro hero, Gran Torino." "I don't think I've ever heard of him," Uraraka commented as she and Mina stood side by side. "Was he famous for anything?" "Well, not really," Midoriya admitted. "I actually never heard of him until All Might told me about him. Apparently he was All Might's teacher at UA. "Well, seriously?" Mina exclaimed. "Man, Midoriya, you really hit the jackpot. Under normal circumstances, I've asked if I could switch out with you, but there is no way I'm missing out on an opportunity to train under Gang Orca," Kudai said with a delighted smile of his own. "Oh yeah, he's your favorite hero, right?" Uraraka asked. "He has been since I was little," he confirmed. "I was really stoked to see that he offered me an internship. He does a lot of coastline city patrols, so I'm sure I'll get a chance to learn about using my powers in a suburban area. You know, in a way that doesn't cause buildings to fall over." "Probably a smart career move," Mina giggled. Glancing up at the departure times, she said, "Well, I should get going. My train boards in 5 minutes." "Be safe," Kudai said as he hugged her goodbye. "You too," she said softly in his ear. Then she let go and waved farewell to Midoriya and Uraraka. He watched her go while his 2 friends talked to each other from behind him, until he noticed another student leaving to board his own train. "Hey, Tenya," Kudai said before his friend could get away. The taller boy turned around to see his best friend approaching, with Midoriya and Uraraka not far behind, so he stopped and waited for them. "You're going to Hosu?" Kudai asked once he got closer. "Yes." He had nodded once. Kudai frowned at that. He'd heard this piece of information while walking by Aizawa's office last week when the pro hero was talking to the principal about some of the internship offers the school had received. He knew Hosu was the city where Ingenium had been attacked, so he began to worry that his old friend was up to something foolish and dangerous. Then again, it was Tenya. He followed rules to the letter, no matter the circumstances. If anyone could keep his cool in this kind of situation, he can. Kudai thought as he shook hands with his friend. "Just remember, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here," he told the taller boy. "I don't care if it's 2 a.m. I've had the crap beaten out of me by a villain. Call me." "Us too," Midoriya said while Uraraka nodded her head rapidly. His eyes softened a little before he said, "I will. Thanks." Then he turned around and was gone, moving swiftly to find his train car. "You think he'll be okay?" Uraraka asked the boys. "I think so," Midoriya asked. "Hikari, what do you think?" Kudai was silent for a few moments before he said, "Check on him every day you can. I can usually tell what he's thinking, but ever since his brother was attacked, I haven't been able to get a good read on him. I'm worried." Silently he added, "For some reason it feels like I just said goodbye to my best friend for the last time."
So, fun fact, while we were off camera, Chris here told us that he thought that Silly Kira's name was Slick Ida. So we might have to put in a name change request on that man, because that would be hilarious.
That would be amazing.
Or you could just make a hashtag of it and just make the Slick Ida memes just
And that's going. And it's
Flood
going to
the
be
gates,
the Tobey
you know.
Maguire.
The Tobey
Ida.
Maguire Ida.
Like, oh my gosh! I need.
That's Bully. That's
Yeah.
Bully Maguire.
Bully Maguire.
Now we got Slick Ida. So there you go.
Love it. Okay.
It
Yeah,
gets
he's
better.
fast too, so he's slick.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, the
I'm
chapter.
I'm a
Chapter.
child. I'm a
Which
giant
part
child.
was the beach episode?
All right, let me have it. Let me have it. It's my first time doing a beach episode. Where did I go wrong? I know I went wrong in several places.
I have to say, I've never read a beach episode. I've only watched them. So I think just describing everything is really awkward no matter what. But it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It was fun.
There weren't any old ladies in swimsuits.
Somebody here watched the beach episode for The Last Airbender recently, so that's still a little
As
fresh.
long as that's not in it, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
And then we had, I think the one that kind of made me chuckle was the motorcycle ride, because that was pretty silly.
Granted, but it's like, okay, so like we've seen a lot of Kurt I now. It's like he's fairly serious most of the time, and you know his best friend is Ida, who is
he's a strict rule follower
for the most part.
generally.
Well, his dad's the police commissioner, so he can't really afford to have any slip up in the public. But I kind of figured there should be like at least one thing where he rebels a little bit. And what teenager doesn't rebel in some capacity or another? If they didn't, they're a robot, and Ida's already got that covered. So
Either way, Mina's into it. It's fine.
Yep.
Moving on, we have the hero names.
not quite that. There was a little bit of sidebars that this is the first that we'll see of the movie plot getting worked into the main
That's
the
right.
main story. So the events of Island will be happening coming up
We have
fairly
tickets,
soon. Yep, they got tickets, and Akarui's going with them.
Which I know you guys are excited about this.
Yeah.
Akarui
These
is
guys
great.
these guys love his younger
Akarui
brother.
is his younger brother,
Okay.
and
He's the one-
my favorite.
He's a total smartass because his IQ hits like 300 when the sun's out. Because his quirk is called solar intelligence. The more sunlight he's exposed to, the smarter he gets, and the more he likes letting
So
people
is
know.
he like Sheen in Jimmy Neutron when like he
Just
gets smart and
smothers.
his head just keeps.
And then he just smothers himself with tanning oil.
I don't think Akarui's ever done that, but maybe.
He should.
Maybe I can have Kurt make a joke about it.
I have a question. Will you ever have a My Hero Academia The Boys crossover?
I've never seen The Boys, so
I bet you somebody is. Though.
Somebody's
You
working.
guys
Somebody's
know
got
a good
somebody.
fan fiction. Point Chris that way.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
I know that there's a spin-off manga. I don't know if it's done by the original guy, but it's set in the same world. It's a vigilante series, and
cool.
Aizawa and Present Mike feature in it a few times.
Ah.
I believe it's
Prison Mike. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Yes.
I believe it's set when they're like in their younger years, like when they're
Okay.
first pro heroes.
All right.
Inability to enunciate consonants at the ends of our words. That's very hard. for
That's
me.
very new. That's very New Mexican.
Yes, that's what I just said. It's fine. Continue.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't read any of that, but I know there's a lot of people who would like to see that made into an anime. So
Because The Boys, this is obviously based off of a manga. The Boys is based off of a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And it came out.
kind of like the Umbrella Academy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And The Boys, the graphic
So
novel.
need to watch,
I
bro.
know. I need to watch it. I know.
So good.
I know.
First season.
I haven't seen the
Yeah.
second season. I can't speak for the second season.
But I know that the graphic novel, it came out like in the early 2000s, so it's been around for
Okay.
a while.
Okay.
That would be a
Yeah.
really cool crossover.
That would be.
I like it.
And then bring Umbrella
about it.
Academy, bring them all together. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, the powers of Umbrella Academy, you could definitely pass those off as quirks.
Yeah.
The real question is who would win, Homelander or All Might? Obviously, currently All Might couldn't, but if it was All Might in his prime,
In his prime, I feel like All Might would have.
he'd give him a run for his money. I think he would.
Yeah.
So Homelander's just
Cool.
ruthless.
Nice. Yeah, so we will be going to Island soon, which I love because I
We just watched that movie the other day
Yeah,
with
we
a friend
watched
of
it the
ours.
other day with our friends.
Yeah, he
with us.
had just finished. He just finished getting up to the part where it's All Might's last fight, so he was like kind of feeling sad that he wasn't going to get to see Buff All Might anymore. And I was like, "Hey man, I got something to fix you." And he was
Young All Might!
it was so funny. Like it was fun just to watch him watching the film because he's so excited about Young All Might.
So now you guys know that the film is going to be in our headcanon, so watch it if you haven't because it's great.
Yeah. Definitely. I think it's like $12 at Walmart now. So
Nice. All right.
yeah.
Cool.
So that's happening. Be on the lookout for it. You'll get to have. Let's see. I'm planning on making the movie arc 4 chapters, so you'll get 4 chapters of Akururi unfiltered. So look forward to it. Those of you that like
All
him.
right.
Next
So
up is
walking to school. Concerned about Ida.
Yeah. Midori's kind of like in the original. Midori's kind of like, "Hey man, you okay?" And he passes off. He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But in this one, it's like Kurai has known this guy since they were little kids, and he's like, "No, he's not fine. He's not okay."
Yeah, this isn't right.
Yeah.
So then we have the hero names.
We have the hero names, and you guys finally get the answer. Nobody guessed it. And I'm honestly a little disappointed that somebody didn't, because I thought it was a little bit obvious, but I mean that probably is just me automatically knowing everything about the story because I made the headcanon.
You can't read.
Yeah, I know. I did like some of the guesses that some people came up with. Kakarot was one, which I toyed with that one for a minute because he's such a big Dragon Ball nerd, but at the same time it's like he needs something that would identify him as him and not somebody else.
What about Mr. Perfect? Whatever his name is.
Mr. Perfect Cell.
Well, what's the character's name again?
His name is Kurai Hikari. His hero name is Kai.
Mr. Perfect Kai.
Mr. Perfect Kai.
Mr. Perfect Kai.
Ha, perfect.
Perfect.
See, we need to have Chris around more. He's better at coming up with meme ideas.
Yeah.
It's great.
I was gonna say no. I think my favorite one was somebody was like I think it was Silly Kira who was like, he's got a lightsaber. He's a giant Star Wars nerd. We know that his hero name starts with a K. Is he gonna call himself Kenobi?
Kenobi.
And I was just like, for a minute there, I was like,
Kenobi.
Kenobi. For a minute there, I was like, yeah, it's really tempting, but no, I can't do it.
Kenobi. I like it. All right, and then the only other name that changed was Mina's.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing like even watching it through the first time on the original, she was just like Alien Queen. I was like, hey, that's cool because it's like an alien reference. And then Midnight shoots it down. And I'm just like, what the heck? That was cool. And then she goes with Pinky. I'm just like, we get it. You're pink. I think the only name that irritated Becca more than that was Yaoyorozu's hero name.
Because Yaoyorozu is so cool and her name is so stupid.
Yeah, it's not great, man.
What's her
Do
name
you guys
again?
know what her hero name is?
The Everything Hero, Creati.
Creati, because she creates things.
It's like the most half-assed name I've ever heard.
I know, it's like...
What the heck, Monger?
It's like an executive. He's like, yeah, what should we call her? Creative. Yeah, man, that's great.
What the heck, Ko?
She's so badass, and she could have such a cool name, but
to the original writer of My Hero Academia. Why would you screw her over like that? She's so cool. You give her that name?
It's okay.
I mean, they do mention that these hero names can be temporary, and they can change eventually. But it's kind of like that's what we know her. That's what we know her as now. Why would you do that?
Just change it now.
She's just Momo.
You know, it's okay.
It's fine.
Momo's cool. She can stand out even with the
She's
dumb
Urza. Well, moving on. She should be like the she should be what's Urza's?
Titania.
Titania.
Yeah, that would have been a great hero name. Titania. What the heck, man?
Queen of the Fairies. Okay, whatever. Anyway, moving on. I'm not bitter. We have after our hero names.
We find out who they're interning with. So Deku got a lot more offers than he did in the original. In the original, Gran Torino's the only one that makes an offer to him. Originally, he was just going to pick like one of the 40 agencies that kind of just was like, yeah, whoever can come. But in this one, he got like several hundred. But he still chose Gran Torino because the other character, we know this as the audience, but the other characters don't know that Gran Torino was All Might's mentor. So even though Izuku has already developed full cowling, because Gran Torino has known, he knew Nana Shimura, he trained All Might, he probably has some pretty good ideas about how to use One for All. So Izuku would still do well to learn from him, so that's why he went ahead and went with him, even though he probably had a lot more prestigious offers, like, in my head...
All Might's boy, though. He's gonna do what All Might recommends. Like,
yeah, exactly. All Might says jump and Izuku says off of what cliff and how high. Are we talking are we talking the Himalayas or are we talking the Rockies? Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, kind of like in my head canon, like he probably got an offer from Best Jeanist, Hawks, Gang Orc, like all the top heroes. Not all the top heroes, but a lot of them probably would have been like, "Hey, this kid looks like he knows what he's doing." He went up against the Son of Endeavor. He held well. So to me, it made more sense that he. And I mean,
I feel
he
like
was.
Hawks having an intern would be so pretentious because he's such a young hero. Anyway, sorry. Moving on. That's my bad.
I mean, Hawks tried to get Todoroki when he was.
Did he?
Yeah. He talks to Endeavor about that.
That's like me trying to get a student.
What do you have against Hawks?
I don't. I like him, but
Oh, okay.
I just think it's weird to have an intern when you're so new to a field. I don't know. Sorry. Continue.
I mean, he's the number 2 hero. I think he can do what he wants.
Not yet.
He's the number 3 hero at this point. I think he can do what he wants.
He's really young. Anyway, sorry. Cole, go ahead.
Yeah, he's younger than we are. Think about that.
Stop. It's bad enough that all of like the professional athletes right now, most of them are younger than us. That's really weird to me. Anyway, moving on.
I don't.
Most professional athletes are younger than us at this point.
I'm used to following baseball teams, and they usually have guys that are in their late 20s.
Tom Holland is the same age as me.
Aww.
That man has an infant face. It's not even a baby face. It's an infant face.
Oh, he's looking a little bit older.
He's starting to get there.
The girl who plays Lucy in the Chronicles of Narnia is my age. I think she even has a similar birthday to me. I can't remember. Anyway, sorry, really random.
Let's see.
Going.
So internships. So Deku's still going with Gran Torino.
You guys are right. Got Gang Orca.
Yes, he did get Gang Orca. Good guess. Who was that? Joe Clone that guessed that? That's okay.
Sorry.
But yeah, one of you guys got it right. Nice job. Yes, I had planned for him to do Gang Orca from the beginning, and I'll just get this out of the way. No, Kurai will not be involved in the Hero Killer events. That's going to continue. That's going to take place separately. He's actually getting his own internship arc that I have come up with, and we're going to spend the next couple of chapters on.
Is it his own? I feel like it crosses over with somebody else's.
No. He had one of his classmates.
Right.
One of his classmates comes along for a bit of it, but it doesn't tie into the events of Hosu at all.
Okay, I'm really confused. I'm remembering things wrong. Okay, I get his story mixed up with the anime so much at this point. I don't know.
But yeah, so you guys have that to look for. So Hosu is going to be happening separately. You guys have original content created by me to look forward to, and I think that I did a pretty good job with this one. But
I'm so
again, that's going to have to be up to you guys to judge. Let's see. Is there anything else from this chapter that you guys feel like we should go over?
Yeah, I mean, we've established we're worried about Ida. That kind of gets reinforced.
Yeah.
Slick Ida.
Slick
Ida.
Ida.
We're worried about Slick Ida.
Bad boy Ida.
Yep.
Slick Ida.
It's not Bad Boy Ida anymore. It's Slick Ida. It's Slick Ida.
Oh man, Slick Ida. That's what I'm gonna say now every time I see your handle. Oh man, we have problems.
So many problems.
I think that's it though.
All right. Well, I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and thanks you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Chris, for being here.
Yeah, of course.
And last bonus little bit. I've actually put together kind of an intro video for Your Hero Academia, but you guys don't get to see it until after the events of the Island movie, because if I put it up early, there's going to be spoilers. So you guys get to look forward to it, but I'm also going to hold it over your heads because I'm a sadist. See you guys next time. Stay plus ultra, everybody.
Plus ultra.